Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Sam, and me on today I'm joined by Connor
Hey guys.
and Mike.
Hello.
And the original intent for this episode was to discuss the pretty revolutionary new Steam Deck, but I think we're going to have to temporarily put that aside because some massive stuff is happening over at Activision, and it's not good stuff. Let me just say that. It's not good stuff. So the long and short of it is the state of California is suing Activision Blizzard, which is a pretty unprecedented thing in the gaming industry, right? Like, we've got a state that's suing this company after I think, 2+ year investigation for sexual misconduct and harass and assault and, all of that. And there's some very chilling, things coming out about Activision. And I guess it'd be appropriate to say that, like, if some of this stuff bothers you, then you might not want to listen. Like, there's some, obviously sexual assault and even suicide.
Huge trigger warning.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah.
It's literally the whole kitchen sink of trigger warning.
It's basically, if it's a bad thing that a man in power can do to someone with less power than him, a lot of people at Activision have done it.
I don't think it's even active. I think it's just Blizzard. Because this is against straight up Blizzard.
It's the same company now.
Yeah, it's Activision Blizzard is what we should say, because that's what the suit is for. But it's just it's a very disturbing, I think, bubbling, like a boiling point almost, because it's like, I think everyone to some extent is aware of like the bro culture, and not just the gaming industry, but tech in general. But to see it,
a lot of libertarians,
to see it destroy lives to the extent that we're seeing in the accusations against Activision, it's just really frustrating to see. Like, and it just really demonstrates how much further we have to go as an industry to ensure things like this don't happen. I guess we can talk about some more specifics here if you guys are ready for that.
Oh, I'm ready to rip into Blizzard.
Yeah, go for it.
It's absolutely unacceptable. Like, I actually went through on my own time and read the entire law document, and some of these findings are absolutely heinous. Like, when you have an executive whose office is named the Cosby Suite, where is the problem? There's a problem here.
Yeah, it's
I do think we should probably get into some of the actual specifics that happened.
Yeah, I agree.
Instead of, in case our listeners haven't kept an eye on it, because I think a lot of people, a lot of Activision's fan base probably does. Activision Blizzard's fan base probably don't know this because it's mostly fairly casual gamers.
Oh no, most of the Blizzard fans are up in riot right now. I know a couple who are.
There's a difference between, just really quick, the Blizzard fans and the Call of Duty fans. Let me And I think the Call of Duty fans will largely not know about this because they don't follow gaming necessarily. But the Blizzard fans, I feel like, would know.
The fallout from this is going to affect a lot of people. And it's even going to affect down to content creators, because now they're suddenly in a moral quandary, especially if they're built around WoW. Do they continue to support Blizzard and advertise a product, or do they just abandon what made them big?
Or the people who are built around Warzone. There's a lot of streamers who have built their brand on Warzone.
Yeah, it's full thing. Never build your brand around one game.
Yeah, so I think we should. Yeah, let's get into some of the specifics here, and I think the most mild of everything here is the part of the lawsuit that deals with pay inequality, right? So that's a part of this too, right? And that's probably the tamest part of this whole thing.
When pay equality is your tamest part of the lawsuit, that's.
Yeah, so obviously women not making as much as men, women getting passed over for promotions in favor of men that do less. That sort of thing has been documented a lot.
I mean, it's not just men who do less. It's like women are, from what I was reading, it's women getting shoveled all the work while the men were literally playing video games on the clock.
That's part of it too. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, because that's a thing that happens a lot of the time, and it's always bad. But this is particularly egregious.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, that's probably the tamest part of this this whole suite of legal action being happening here. But I guess to read a quote from the CNET article, Activision Blizzard is, quote, a breeding ground for harassment and discrimination in which women are subject to regular sexual advances by often high-ranking men who largely go unpunished. Illustrated of the claims DFEH is making against Activision is an office ritual referred to as cube crawls, in which men allegedly drink copious amounts of alcohol, crawl through the office cubicles, and engage in inappropriate behavior, including groping. The lawsuit describes incidents including allegations that a female employee died by suicide during a business trip as a result of a toxic relationship with a supervisor. So, yeah, that's probably the most horrific part of this. But yeah, this woman who, allegedly they passed around compromising photos of her and like constantly sexually harassed her until she straight up killed herself on one of these.
These aren't good people. I cannot, in good consciousness, advocate that if you have a WoW sub, you should keep paying it.
And it's one of those things that has been going on among so many, like it's so ingrained in the culture, and it's been going on for so long. Like, you don't fix Activision Blizzard. Like, you would have to like fundamentally get rid of everyone at the top, and maybe everyone in the middle. Like,
and it's and just for context here, I think I read roughly 20% of Activision Blizzard's employees are women. So this can you imagine being a woman working at Activision? Like, I can think of no more frustrating job experience there. But yeah, like and to the employees' credit, they are very vocally. A lot of employees are very vocally speaking out against their own company here. They're saying, like, I think there's a petition now with, I think, what was it? I sent it to you guys, right? Like, there was like a petition by Activision employees with like over 2,000 signatures.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Which is over a fifth of the employee count at Activision Blizzard.
That was current and former employees. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, it was over 1,000. Yeah.
Now it's over 2,000.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, like the employees aren't taking kindly to this news, obviously, and it's tough. Like, in their situation, like, obviously you don't want to work there, but like, what do you do? Like, I guess this, right? Like, they have to try and get the old guard ousted out for any hope of change.
A mass walkout scheduled as well
tomorrow.
Yeah, and development on World of Warcraft has actually stopped, that's unheard of to me. Like, that to me, like, signals that this is thankfully something that isn't just going to blow over in like a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you stop development on your cash cow kind of property, there's something big happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think the employees are fed up with it, and I think and like, obviously in the corporate side of Activision, right? Like, they put out like a very toothless statement saying like, oh, the claims in this lawsuit are distorted and false and stuff like that, and like,
oh yeah, and then there was also
came forward on Twitter and they were like, no, these are accurate. Like, we do not agree with this statement that Activision put out. And then I think this morning Bobby Kotick put out a statement as well, and he was like saying that previous statement that was put out by whoever, that was too, like, weak. We have to make sweeping changes and stuff like that. But I don't know if I believe you, Bobby Kotick.
Well, the only thing Bobby's part of the problem. He's got to go because there is zero doubt in my mind that he has known the entire time if he's not a part of it.
The only thing that Bobby Kotick cares about is the fund for his 7th yacht. That's it. He's saving face so he can afford another yacht. Like,
I mean,
it's inexcusable.
Bobby Kotick, like, what was his last bonus? Like over like 150 million or something like that. Like,
I think disclosed in 2020, his total earnings was 154 million.
and
He
like,
took a
If you're
salary
ever
cut
gonna
that
skip
year.
a Call of Duty year, this is the one.
This is the year for Battlefield.
yeah, I feel like we're kind of all over the place, and it's just because like this news is very horrible
also-
and
It's
weird to
also hard 'cause
process.
It's not.
Yeah, and it's
It's not
yeah.
something any of the. Well, I know Mike and I haven't had to deal with. I don't know if you've ever had to deal with racism in the workplace, Ahmed, but this isn't something I've ever had to touch.
Yeah, it's
No, I think out of the three of us, Connor's the most normal person.
Okay. Yeah, it's a hard
terms of, like,
topic for
just
me
some-
to address as somebody who's never had to personally deal with it. But like,
yeah. I mean,
you
like
know, you hear
I'm
about
not
it
I'm
constantly.
not like a marginalized woman in one of these companies, so I don't have the
Yeah,
perspective either. But I can only empathize with how suffocating that must
Yeah,
feel.
I can kind of empathize with the fact that a lot of these women went to this company as like their dream job. Like
Yeah.
their youth was playing Blizzard games, and then they work at
Yeah,
Blizzard,
certainly.
and they're
Oh my
super
goodness!
excited.
Did you guys see
And
that
then-
clip from that
It's a disaster.
BlizzCon
Oh yeah,
from 10 years
oh my
ago?
God, where that poor woman is
Yeah, like-
asking them to sexualize their characters less, and they laugh at her.
Yeah, I remember the quote. Like, she was like, "Can you please make the characters not look like they stepped out of Victoria's Secret magazine?" And then they actually say, "All right, so which magazine should they step out of then?" Like, it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very.
I mean, she looked, like it was so heartbreaking seeing her face because she just like walked
People
away
in the
from
audience, like there were a bunch of
embarrassment.
women cheering for her as she asked it, and then immediately afterwards, you hear like a ton of people in the crowd booing her.
Yeah, it's sad, man.
It's
like,
it's upsetting, yeah. And also, come on, guys. Like
It's-
the audience was bad there too. Everybody was in the wrong except her.
Yeah, I think this is a lot of fans of Blizzard need to come to a reckoning of, do they want to keep supporting this company? Is the connections they forged with this game and their apparent addiction to the MMO worth it?
I mean, I know it's probably not worth much, but I was seeing a lot of like responses online saying like, "Oh, I've canceled my World of Warcraft subscription. I've done this, I've done that." And like, obviously, like you're gonna see that online, but like the majority of people playing these games probably aren't commenting on issues like this. So I guess it remains to be seen.
I mean, there's
Hey.
also never been an easier time to quit playing WoW. I hear it kind of sucks right now.
Yeah, I know it's a
but-
super easy time to quit WoW.
Yeah, apparently, like, there's actually kind of like even before this, there was like a mass exodus from WoW to like Final Fantasy 14.
Final Fantasy 14 available with a free trial up to level 60. That's all a Heaven's Lord.
Yeah,
I had to insert
Yeah.
that in there.
and Overwatch is pretty dead these days too.
Yeah, but I was kind of excited for Overwatch 2, but now I'm not even gonna touch it.
Yeah,
It looked interesting enough, and I'm like, oh, that could be cool.
I'm almost over my sadness that we're not going to get another Spyro game because that makes it easier to not buy a game from Activision now.
Yeah, I don't think I'll buy another game from Activision. I mean, it's not like you have much choice from Activision these days.
No, it's pretty.
They
I mean, they
release-
put every team on Call of Duty now.
They
Yeah, I
release
mean,
a
like-
game a year.
I can safely say at this point, like I'm not buying Call of Duty Vanguard. Like no way.
No.
Like
No,
there's no way.
This is a Battlefield
I'm not
year.
one to compromise my
Not
values to
gonna-
buy a video game.
Not gonna buy Diablo 2 remaster or whatever it is. But
I haven't even been buying Pepsi products. So
Oh yeah, me neither.
what's
I'd
Pepsi?
forgotten
What's
about
Pepsi?
There's a
what's
huge
this?
Frito-Lay boycott going on right now and strike because of horrifying abuse against their workers in Denver.
Oh, okay, I knew nothing of this.
Oh well, don't buy Pepsi or Frito-Lay.
don't buy
Pepsi
Pepsi or
owns
Frito-Lay.
Frito-Lay.
I mean, I prefer Coke anyway. Like
yeah, I'm a Coke person, so it wasn't really hard to stop drinking Pepsi.
I
also, I,
drink
like
water.
don't drink
I'm-
soda.
Yeah.
but yeah, no, like so with Blizzard, I think I am glad to see at least that this is getting the blowback and like the response it warrants, right? Like you've seen all these news outlets too saying like we are no longer going to cover Activision Blizzard games until there
Really?
is
I hadn't seen
visible. Yes, there's a lot of them. Granted, it's none of the huge ones like IGN or GameSpot or anything like that, but like a respectable number are saying like unless there's noticeable and actionable change, like at Activision Blizzard. Until that point comes, there's no coverage of their games
Yeah.
anymore.
They don't deserve a
Which I
platform.
really applaud that effort. I don't think in the long scheme of things, like I don't think people are right, like people aren't getting their news for Call of Duties at these sites anymore, right? Like I don't think it's gonna have much of an impact on their sales, is what I'm saying, but I do think it's the right move, right?
No, I mean
Just-
the people who need to stand up, I think, are streamers because Call of Duty streaming is huge.
Yeah,
I was
that's the
just
big one,
looking at-
right? Yeah, that's the big
There's
one.
114,000 people watching Warzone right now, and like,
Those
Yeah, I mean,
content creators need to.
as long as the content creators stay, Activision doesn't care. I don't think. Like, like from their perspective, like they're getting the best marketing they could possibly get.
The problem about content creators is a lot of them make the really dumb decision to dedicate themselves to one game, which causes a lot of growth because, he plays this game all the time, so I'm going to watch him.
mhm.
And then once you swap off, you suddenly lose all that growth and you have to start all over again.
There's only a few games you can really do that with. Like,
But
Minecraft is a safe bet. If you're going to be a Minecraft streamer, you can probably get away with that one.
I
But,
mean, I mean, if you interviewed a lot of the top Minecraft content creators, I would reckon that they don't want to play Minecraft anymore, but they do it because it's the only thing that gets them money.
well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to do my job a lot of the time. It's a job, not,
Causes significant burnout among content creators, and that's already a problem.
yeah.
And it sucks. Like a lot of WoW creators are negatively affected, but some of them have taken a definite stance. It's just really, you got to cancel your subscription. You got to vote with your pockets. Activision
Yeah, I
isn't
mean, I've seen
going to stop.
The biggest content creator in Factorio stepped away from Factorio recently because of Nilaus. He stepped away because of something the developer was doing.
Oh,
Yeah, he quit. He moved over to Satisfactory and what's
Dyson
that
Sphere.
one? Yeah, Dyson Sphere program.
Yeah, it's I hate being negative, but I think I'm being realistic, even if it is cynical, in that like I feel like in the grand scheme of things, like I still think Call of Duty is going to be the best selling game of this year. Like I don't
Yeah.
like
I
do
also
think
don't
it'll
think
have
the
an
lawsuits
impact.
are going to have a meaningful impact.
No, I do think there will be some impact, but like and Activision will see less sales now because of this, but not to an extreme degree whatsoever.
No,
Unfortunately.
I mean realistically, the same thing that always happens is going to happen to these guys. Like the problem is we still don't know any of these guys' names. Like
We know one.
we know one name. Yeah.
We know one.
yeah, but like it's systemic, and like these guys are going to leave Activision and just take even if they might not even get kicked out of Activision, but like if they do, it's a good chance they're just going to end up other game studios.
I might get a little political, but this like Activision has definitely been oppressing Blizzard a lot in terms of what Blizzard does as a studio. And hasn't Activision recently been putting a lot of former right-wing political figures into their board?
Yeah, it's actually it's wild that they've been hiring like ex-Bush administration, ex-Trump administration prior to, like obviously this lawsuit, because those people are experts in spinning things and, creating the narrative and that you want to present, right? Like
It kind of
Killer job right now.
yeah,
like
I mean
previously it felt like that they were just doing that because I don't know,
No, but
maybe they were
what
just
I'm
making
getting
a
at
political
is, like,
statement.
Activision Blizzard, this was a 2 years investigation. They knew eventually
Yeah.
this was going to all come to bear, right? Like they knew this was going to happen. And that's why they hired those people from those administrations who's made their careers on like scummy things, like, making horrible things sound okay and spin them to like your advantage.
I mean,
that's
they pulled
what-
from the Trump and the Bush administration. Are they are they really that good at their jobs?
I mean, Bush
mean,
won twice, but
I mean, Bush won twice,
and
but
Trump won 70 million votes. Like, I mean, like these people, as awful as they are, can do what they, Activision hired them for a reason, is what I'm saying.
yeah, it's a really bad time to be a Blizzard employee. And my heart goes out to all those who are are affected. Like
Yeah.
they're going to
Yeah,
continue to be affected, especially with people boycotting Blizzard.
Yeah.
And
I
you
mean-
got the flip side of it too, right? Like there's always like the now that this all this stuff is out in the open, you know these women are going to get hate mail from like chuds on Twitter saying like, "Oh, stop like whining about your dream job and stuff like that."
No.
Like
There's going to be
now these
I mean,
women
can
are
you-
going to face even more abuse now that this is out
Imagine
in the
being,
open.
like,
yeah.
a bunch of incels thinking that you're the woman who killed WoW. Like,
Yeah, that's
That's a
totally
heavy-
a thing. You know that's going to be a
heavy
thing.
cross to bear. Yeah.
It's so stupid. Gosh. So many problems that need to
it's
we're not even close to where we need to be as an industry,
yeah.
quite frankly.
No, I mean you were hitting the nail on the head earlier about how much it sucks that like EA is the ethical purchase right now.
Yeah,
We
EA
mentioned this in our chat, right? Like I think of the big three third parties as EA, Ubisoft, and Activision. And EA, you know, on this very show, we've gone through EA's controversies. That we've gone through like how they've been named the worst company in the US multiple
Listen.
times. They are currently the shining example out of those three.
Listen, EA
Yeah,
had
I mean,
a bad 2010, but now 2020 is their decade.
Yeah, I was gonna say, please buy Battlefield instead of Call of Duty this year, guys. I've always had that stance, but come on, guys.
It's a new decade. It's the decade of EA. They're
I mean,
turning it
and-
around.
And obviously,
They're
like
releasing quality games.
we haven't heard, and like there could be, you know, for all we know, but like we have not heard word of horrible things happening at EA like we have at Activision and Ubisoft. And in addition to that, like just personally speaking, their games are going in a direction I'm quite fond of as well, right? Like while Ubisoft is turning Assassin's Creed and everything into a live service game, EA is being like, okay, we're going to release a single player Dead Space remake with no microtransactions, or we're going to, you know, remaster the Mass Effect trilogy, or we're going to make a new Dragon Age with no microtransactions. Like they're kind of moving in the direction I want them to move as a fan. And they're not horrible people, apparently, to their employees.
This is strictly anecdotal, but I know everybody dunks on EA for overstepping their bounds on developers, but I've read a few examples recently where EA has stepped in and like prevented crunch and, you know, removed terrible managers from the companies that they work with. That they, you know,
at least where we stand right now in 2021, I think EA is doing a standout job in improving their image and, you know, just making things better.
Yeah,
And
they've really turned themselves around. I'm proud of the company.
If they happen to win worst company in the year again, like this year, for example, it will not be warranted in the least.
No, that's Activision Blizzard this year.
Activision Blizzard or Frito-Lay win worst company of the year this year. That'll be kind of, or Amazon, you know. Any of those three really should be it.
I mean, maybe it's just recency bias, but like I feel like Activision Blizzard just takes it in a landslide right now. At least, like,
we know about it happening at Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Also, we know about Ubisoft has also been
similar.
caught.
Yeah, similar stories of men in power and discrimination at Ubisoft as well. But obviously, you know, like Ubisoft being a foreign company, we don't have the same insight into that as we have, because like we have California suing Activision Blizzard, so we've gotten we've gotten a magnifying glass on the situation almost, right? Like
I think the
whereas
key difference
Ubisoft is more
between
unknown.
Blizzard and Ubisoft was that Ubisoft has actually come forward to say, hey, these allegations are true, here's how we're fixing it. We have brought in all these groups to attempt to fix this. And Blizzard met the allegations with that didn't happen. And
It's
a
funny 'cause,
bunch
like,
of nuh-uhs.
Clearly, I don't know, like, on the inside, right? Like, maybe Bobby Kotick didn't sign off on the first response, or did sign off and then realized it was the bad response, so he made another response. Because, like, the first response was like, no, this is distorted, it's not entirely true, all of that. And then, you know, obviously there was even more backlash to that. Then today, Bobby Kotick comes out and says, like, that response that we made was unacceptable and we have to do better. And this is no place. We will not tolerate discrimination and sexual harassment at Blizzard. And it's like, who are you kidding, man? Like, if you had any shred of decency, like, this all happened under your watch. You should resign and take your hundreds of millions and just enjoy the rest of your life, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like, come
Because over the last day, Blizzard stock has been plummeting.
Really?
So yeah,
on. Oh, that's
it-
that's
good.
probably what forced the statement. Honestly, that
it went
definitely is
from on July 26th, it went from $90 and went down to 82. So it dropped like $8, and it's
Yeah.
still fairly low. That's
kinda
why he
like-
made a response. He
Yeah,
started
that's
losing
almost
money.
10%.
Side note, Connor, you really are tired.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And whatnot.
I just he started talking stock, man. I don't know what you want from me, but I mean that's a 10% drop. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't have it in me to listen to the stock market.
I just looked at it because it's like, oh, that's probably why he made a response. He's losing money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
like,
you're right.
Kotick is already richer than most people, right? Like he's like the 1% of the 1%. Like
Yeah, and he takes it from
it's
he takes it from those people who are mentioned in the lawsuit.
yeah, the
Yeah,
women
as
who
the
aren't
link-
receiving the same level of pay as their male coworkers.
In the end, that all
It's
goes
all-
to Bobby Kotick somehow.
It's all a mess, man. Like I think, like what you said earlier, Connor, I think everyone at these top levels, has to go. And maybe not like, like we can't just I think as a result of this thorough investigation, like people need to get fired from this, right? Like
Yeah.
and a lot of people to
Preferably blacklisted. Like
enough to create the potential for change at Activision Blizzard,
yeah.
which
but the problem
we
is,
can
like,
hope for right now. Like
Who
it's not
moves
gonna-
up? Like if the firings are as sweeping and as wide as they need to be, who decides who's moving up? 'Cause it's not Bobby Kotick,
Yeah.
It can't be him.
I
He's the
think
one who got us
Blizzard
into
would
this
have to
mess in the
bring
first
in
place.
Blizzard would have to bring in a third party for this.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine their shareholders would have some say in this or something. And I imagine like they would probably just do a lot of hiring from outside their company, right? Like I imagine like trying to poach people from EA would be a smart idea.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot in the big AAA market of poaching anymore.
They need Reggie.
Oh, there definitely is. Like people are changing companies all the time. So
Yeah, Blizzard needs a Reggie.
Yeah. That's how EA got better. They just hired Reggie. Or was that GameStop?
GameStop hired Reggie.
Yeah, no,
And
I was
then
like, what do you-
GameStop stock
Oh my
just,
god.
like, exploded.
I don't think those two things are correlated, but I'll let
Reggie worked for EA at some
Let it
point.
slide.
It might have been before Nintendo.
I think it was before Nintendo.
Ah, Reggie.
Yeah, so Activision Blizzard currently on fire. It's like I think for the short term, the best I can hope is people need to stop playing their games. Their developers are doing the right thing right now. Like a lot of them are striking, a lot of them are very vocally speaking out against their own company, and I hope that creates some sort of movement for change. That's all I can
And I
say.
think the big thing is when the walkout does happen, don't cross the virtual picket line. Don't log in to Blizzard products. Don't
Yeah.
buy things from Blizzard. Don't buy things from Amazon.
They're not that good, guys.
They're not that
Every
good.
single shooter is better than Call of Duty. Like,
Yeah,
it's
no.
not hard.
I've not touched a Call of Duty since like the PS3 era. So
It's not fair. A lot of people work really hard on those games, and they're good people. But
they're good people, but they're literally in the mines.
Yeah,
They're not good games. You just buy them because everyone else buys them.
yeah.
Don't convince yourself otherwise.
I mean, so this isn't the time or place, so I'm not going to do it. But like, I do think the mechanics are kind of good in Call of Duty games.
Objectively
But,
worse than Titanfall 2.
Yeah.
But yeah. Not going to
Well,
defend
6
them on
months
this
from
episode.
now, mark your calendar. 6 months from now, when it's either happened or not, things have either gotten better or they haven't. We'll talk about why Call of Duty sucks.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about Call of Duty because
We'll
I feel
hash
like this
that
Call
out.
of Duty is going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause
like,
we're
it's funny because like I imagine the plan was to show Vanguard at E3. That didn't happen. It probably wasn't ready. And now, like, when do you show it now? Think about it. Like, after all of this has come out about Activision, like, can you imagine
during
then
the
like,
walkout.
next week they just have an event where they show like it's not going to
There
happen,
are-
right? Like, they have no. They're they have no way to show Call of Duty right now, which is
No.
wild that situations even come up, you know.
Yeah.
We are 4 months from. Oh, they haven't specified yet, but we're like 4 months from November when these big ticket
Yeah.
shooters usually release, and Activision has been dead silent on Call of Duty. That's
I
not
mean-
good. Like EA's already come forward and said, "Oh, hey, here's our new shooter," and then here's more about our new shooter.
Yeah, I mean, and
What do
now
you
they can't, right? Like they would be
Yeah,
the
no.
most tone deaf thing in the world if they start talking about Call of Duty now.
It would put the lawsuit in front of so many more eyes because like every news outlet that talks about the trailer would be in light of recent, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, like and to be fair, like even without like this hypothetical Call of Duty event that gets in front of the eyes of more people, we've got like websites like CNN, MSNBC, and stuff making articles on Activision Blizzard and this this has already gone mainstream, right? Like this people.
Yeah.
Your average Joe, they might not know what Activision Blizzard is, but they know they're being sued for harassment. So that's not a good look, right?
It's not a good look.
Certainly
It's
going
not-
to do damage to them.
It's not a good time to be an Activision exec right now.
Yeah, we'll see if they can weasel their way out of it. Which
I
there's a
can't wait.
decent chance they could, but
I
mean,
cannot wait till November or December or next year when this Call of Duty releases, because I am fully ready for it to be a disaster.
pirate it and seed it.
and seed it. All right, yeah. This is a pretty dark topic, and a topic that we don't have the perspective to speak on with much authority. But do you guys have any closing thoughts on it?
Go to
Say
the
it
competitors. There
Stop
are better
streaming Call of
MMOs.
Duty, please.
Yeah,
WoW
okay,
is
so
not
let
the
me sum
only
this
MMO.
up. If you're playing WoW, go play Final Fantasy 14. If you're playing Call of Duty, go play Battlefield.
Halo
And,
Infinite. I hear there's a huge stringent of the Call of Duty streaming community that are saying when Vanguard is terrible, they're going to go to Halo Infinite. And I'm just going to say,
Likely.
guys, I think you should make that call now. I think we've seen enough.
we haven't seen anything.
No, but we've seen enough that Activision is
From
not. They don't
Activision,
deserve.
Yeah.
They don't deserve your help with their brand.
I think the worst part about Activision is that Warzone. Every time I look into Warzone, it seems to be in a downward trajectory.
Yeah, and it sucks because
Well, Call of Duty's been like that forever too. Like everybody complains that the new Call of Duty sucks every single time a Call of Duty
Yeah,
comes
every
out.
single thing they keep buying it. And
Yeah.
Warzone's been in a downward trajectory. Like they promised a new map, and what did they do? They gave you the same map with 2 new buildings, and it's daytime or something.
Yeah,
stupid.
and obviously, like just once again, my heart goes out to the employees that are still working on this stuff, even in light of all of this. It must be quite miserable, to be honest. Still have to pump out Call of Duty
Yeah,
as this stuff comes out about your company.
got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Just play Final Fantasy 14. Play other battle royales. You don't need to play Warzone. Pick up Battlefield because all the Battlefield games are dirt cheap right now.
Oh my god, that'd be so smart for EA to do.
Yeah, just oh my god,
Oh, no, they are on sale right now. Actually,
Yeah.
I picked up all the DLC for Battlefield 1 for like $5.
the ethical purchase sale. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure EA and
And Battlefield 1's
And
free if you're Twitch
sure-
Prime.
EA and I'm not sure Square, right? Taste blood in the water, right? With Final Fantasy 14 and Battlefield,
Yeah.
and they're and I wish them best of luck.
I think
So,
the best
yeah.
part is that Final Fantasy 14 is just a better MMO.
yeah.
I mean, I don't doubt you, but I have no experience with either.
Yeah, I would never touch WoW with a 10-yard stick. I have a very addictive personality.
Yeah,
I got
we're
into
on the
Final
same
Fantasy
page there.
14 and I actually enjoyed it, and I don't enjoy MMOs, so
I was like, I'm gonna play one. I've only played 2 MMOs in my life, RuneScape and MapleStory, and I'm not going to play another one ever again because I know what that could do to me.
Yeah, it's a dangerous game for us.
Yeah.
See, I
Anyway,
just play Minecraft for 8 hours a day. Yeah.
All right, so that's the Activision Blizzard lawsuit in a nutshell. Our heart goes out to all of these women who were affected. The Steam Deck. Okay, so big shift in tone here. Yeah.
Can you put a link to skip to this part if people don't want to listen to the Activision Blizzard part?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So I'll put timestamps in the description of this episode. How about that?
Okay,
and then
that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think the Steam Deck is
okay. First of all, what is the Steam Deck?
The Steam Deck is Valve's new handheld that runs SteamOS 3. It can play any game in your any game in your Steam library. And if you're using it with just your Steam library, it's going to be a lot like a Nintendo Switch. You just pick it up, you download the games that you already own in your Steam library. You download your games, you play them. It's got 2 touchpads on it. It's got all the buttons an Xbox controller has. It's got capacitive thumbsticks. It's got a touch screen. It's got 2 paddles on the back, or 4 paddles on the back for extra button mappings.
Yeah.
It's an extremely powerful device for the price point, which is the lowest is $400, then it's $530, and then $650, I think.
Yeah.
You know what's so wild to me is that we're seeing a PC handheld console before another Sony handheld, before an Xbox handheld. That is insane.
And this thing is an Xbox handheld. IGN even said it in the most recent review that they released, because for whatever the cost of a Windows license key is, you can put Windows 10 on this thing and you can just play Game Pass on it. It's a PC, and it's got all the Xbox buttons on it. You can play every single game that's coming to the Series X is going to come to this thing. Because
you could put anything on this thing too.
Yeah, you can put the Epic Game Store on it. You can put emulators on it. Some of the emulation enthusiasts are saying this is going to be able to run everything up through PS3.
That's
I don't
crazy.
know what state PS3 emulation is in, but that's insane. This thing is, for $400, this thing is an insane value. Slap a big SD card in there. I mean, this thing solves so many. I'm probably going to get one. I'm not going to get one at launch. I'm going to wait for reviews, but
yeah.
I constantly am facing the question, do I buy this on Switch or do I buy this on PC? That question is now irrelevant, because I buy it on PC. I have the mods. I have the portability because it's on the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck also supports the mods. It's going to run at a stable frame rate, unlike any indie game I buy on Switch.
Yeah, so the Steam Deck comes with 2 modes, right? It has a 30 FPS mode and a 60 FPS mode.
We literally got the Switch Pro from Valve.
Yeah,
that's basically what happened. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah,
this thing's gonna run a Wii U emulator just fine.
Yeah. Dude, it's fascinating to me looking at this thing and thinking, just from my weird perspective, that I think this thing exists because Nintendo proved that the handheld market was uncontested grounds for them, right? Nintendo basically owns the handheld market. Right.
This thing's selling mad.
And Nintendo has demonstrated that there is insane demand for the handheld market. And they've just gone uncontested, basically this whole time. Right.
Yeah.
And Valve, and I think anyone rational, any big player who's rational looks at that and is we could put something out that can compete with a Switch or a DS or something like that. And this is the first real example, I think, of that happening.
But this thing isn't. I don't even think this is competing with the Switch so much, because it's this is a good value.
You yourself just said that now that you before you decide between Switch.
Oh yeah,
and
no,
PC,
I won't. But I didn't buy a Switch for indie games. I bought a Switch to play Nintendo games. I guess I might be unique there, where the Switch was absolutely only because I wanted to play Zelda and Mario. But this thing, there will be 0 games that come out to the Steam Deck that I can't play on my PC. However, there's a good chance I still get one. This thing appeals to so many people. This appeals to the person who kind of wants to get into PC gaming because it's going to play all those games, or the person who's kind of on a budget and wants to get access to as many games as possible. All the Xbox games are going to come to this thing. All the PC games are going to come to this thing. For $400, that's a pretty good value.
And I don't think you've mentioned this on the show yet, but you mentioned to me before that,
PlayStation 2.
Sony's games coming to PC, that means you'll eventually get Sony games on a handheld.
Yeah,
through a non-Sony hardware, which is
yeah. And
crazy.
even if you don't want to get Game Pass, if you're willing to buy Xbox games come to Steam day one for the most part.
Yeah.
So like everything is going to be on this thing. You know, you can play your Death Stranding, and you can play Halo Infinite, and you can play, you know, whatever. Just like it's all on this one handheld console that is going to have a dock if you want to use it as a normal PC as well. And like,
yeah, it's
you're not
essentially,
gonna,
dude. It
yeah.
really is the Nintendo Switch Pro. Like I actually didn't even put the dots together until Mike said that, but like the announcement of this thing, the timing has to be intentional, right? Right after Nintendo announced the Nintendo Switch OLED and let pretty much everyone down, Valve comes out and is like, okay, we're gonna make our own Switch except for PC games. Like, who could have seen that coming? Like, what?
Man,
The wild thing is, at that $400 price point, like, you probably you can't build a PC that's going to compete with this thing at that price point either. Like, I seriously doubt the layman could. You'd have to be like really looking for discounts on parts and things. And like, it's just, I don't know. I think it's going to revolutionize PC gaming because it gives. I think the one of the coolest things that this does is that even if this thing sells well, even for people that don't buy one, this lays out a clean, like 30 FPS minimum set of requirements for developers. If you're making a PC port, you buy a Steam Deck and you optimize for it. And if you optimize for it, it's going to run pretty okay on everybody with
everything.
a beefier machine.
Yeah.
And that's huge because that just doesn't really exist right now. You know, they aim as low as they can go. But
yeah,
this thing is just huge for PC gamers, I think. And
yeah, I think if you get one, Connor, I definitely want to try it out. Like, I'm interested. Let me just say, I'm interested in this thing, but I definitely want to try it before I consider buying it. Right? Like, just looking at it, I don't think it'll be as comfortable to hold as the Switch. I could be wrong, but that's just.
I think you're wrong just based on what people have said so far holding it. But
yeah,
the only people who've held it work at IGN, and that's not fair.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not roasting IGN here. I'm saying that it's not cool that they've had exclusivity. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, and I feel like IGN just largely just gets hyped for everything too.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've held the Steam controller, and it's the most comfortable. Like, when people say that the Steam controller feels cheap and stuff, there's a point to what they're saying. But as far as like actual ergonomic comfort, I've never held a more comfortable controller. And
to think that the Steam machine walked so the Steam Deck could run.
Yeah.
Like, this all started with Valve just saying, hey, we created a box. We created
I mean, it super wasn't ready back then. It super wasn't ready. Steam OS wasn't ready. But now that Proton exists and everything, like, I mean, you can look at the games. Like, they showed it running Jedi Fallen Order. They showed it running Control. Control takes a pretty beefy PC to run. And it runs these games smooth 30 frames per second minimum. And that's at like, you know, it again, this is a PC. If you need 60 frames per second, you can turn those settings down and probably get up to 60 frames per second in a lot of these games. You know, it's a PC at the end of the day.
Yeah. So the only thing that kind of looked questionable to me when I was looking at the specs, it's not really even a negative, it's just sort of popped out to me, is the resolution, right? I believe it's like 800, 900p or something like that.
It's 800p,
yeah. Which, you know, is better than the Switch, right, in handheld mode.
Marginally,
like, Yeah, I still think it'd be so cool to have a handheld at 1080p, because I know, like, a lot of people say, like, oh, once it's HD, like, I can't tell the difference. I can definitely tell the difference between 720 and 1080.
I agree. I have a feeling that a lot of that is so that it can, like that 800p, which is sufficiently close to 720p, like, they picked that because they want to be able to keep feature parity graphically with like the Series S and stuff. So like you look at the specs of this thing and it's like
it's basically an Xbox One X, right? Kind of.
It's around there, yeah. So like but it's targeting 720p. So like the idea is that like, okay, so these new consoles are targeting 4K 60 FPS or 1080p 120 FPS.
Yeah.
We can take those and make, you know, or not, you know, obviously Steam's not making any differences, but their thinking is that it's not going to be that hard to get a PC port of those games that can run at 720p 30 FPS and still be an extremely good looking experience. And I think that that's really smart.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to turn down, I think that their mindset there is really solid. I agree it would be nice if it was 1080p, but also if that would mean having the screen be any bigger, that'd be a deal breaker.
Plus, just looking into the future, like, I do think this is like Gen 1 of this hardware. Like, I know
It definitely is.
Valve has made hardware in the past that they've abandoned, right?
No. People keep saying that, and that has never happened. Valve has made hardware that they've transitioned beyond. Like the classic example is the Steam Link. They made the Steam Link, and it was good, and people bought it and liked it, but eventually, like, they were clearing out their stock and selling it for $1 and stuff. And people always talk about that as it being a failure. The Steam Link is not a failure. Like, they took the software from that, and Steam Link is built into TVs now. It's built in. You can get an app on your phone. You can get an app on your TV. You can get an app on all kinds of things.
What I was getting at is that, like, regardless of whether they've abandoned hardware in the past or not, I don't think, like, I think this is going to be a thing for them going forward, right? Like, I do think there's going to be a Steam Deck 2.
I don't think it'll be called the Steam Deck 2, but I think they're also opening up every part of it, I think, so that other manufacturers can make it, because they're selling this thing at a loss. Gaben is on the record saying that hitting that $400 price point was painful.
Yeah, I mean, like, most of the time for hardware, it is painful, right? Like, I'm sure it was painful for PS5 and Xbox Series X too. But like, that's the price point it needs to. Like, no one's gonna buy a $600 console, as we've seen in the past.
Well, people are gonna buy the $630 Steam Deck. It's selling pretty well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, it's not going to sell as well as the $400 option.
Yeah, right. Yeah, being able to say starting at $400 is huge for them.
So,
I agree. I think it's likely that they'll release a 1080p version in a couple years. And
like, can I just say, like, it hasn't even been a year yet, but this generation's already wild. Like, we've already had like a surprise console launch. Like,
this thing is, I think, the biggest surprise of the generation. I think this is insane. And I don't know, if I was in the market, like, if I did not have a game console right now, I've been saying for a long time that the one I would buy is an Xbox Series X or S. And this absolutely changed my tune. I wouldn't even be thinking about it right now. It would be a Steam Deck. Like,
it's crazy. Somehow I missed the news that it could be docked. So I thought this was a strict handheld, but it's literally a Switch.
The thing about it is, like, like, if you're thinking about it, but if you come at this from a perspective of somebody who hasn't played PC games either, like, thinking about the exclusives, that, like, you could play Java Minecraft on this. So if you've never been able to play modded Minecraft, suddenly that's an option for you. You can play Noita. Noita's never come into consoles, guys. Like, and it's going to be on this thing. Factorio. They showed Factorio in the trailer for this thing because apparently the trackpads make it a pretty decent experience to play it. And those are like, and like all these strategy games and stuff. And those are games that, like, are always pretty compromised on consoles. And, like, they're not going to be compromised on this thing. Like, the resolution is going to be lower, but, like, if you docked this thing and you're playing at however you're playing it, then you're going to be getting the full Factorio experience, the full Noita experience, whatever you want. Like, this thing's really cool. It plays everything.
Yeah, it's a pretty revolutionary thing for PC gaming, which is crazy to say that in 2021, right? Like, it not be tied to, like, it not be tied to, like, advancements in, like, graphics cards or something like that. This is a new way to play PC games, which is
no. And I think it's really likely that developers are going to target this thing. So, like, I think, I mean, Valve knows their partners and stuff. I think this thing is going to play every game this generation. I think it would be wild for it not to.
Yeah, didn't they already say, like, they've tested a huge amount of the Steam library? Yeah, everything on Steam, and it all runs in both modes on this thing.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know that they hit 60 frames per second cleanly on all of them, but, like, because when you're saying both modes, what literally it is, it's not like changing the specs or anything. It just turns down the refresh rate of the screen on it. so that like if you have VSync enabled in a game, it's not trying to make as many frames, which makes it it uses less battery power.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have to change the settings in the game yourself. As far as we know, they don't have a way of like changing the settings inside a game to work better for the Steam Deck. I wouldn't be surprised if they come out with that, but as far as we know right now, it does not do that. It just uses whatever auto detect is built into the game already and picks something that works pretty well for you.
Mm-hmm.
God, I want to play Devil May Cry 5 on
Yeah,
my handheld, though.
Yeah, it's crazy, and especially considering like you can download your Steam games, right, and then like go on the bus or something, much like a Switch, right? Like you don't have to be online to play your games.
No, it supports Steam Remote Play, so you could be, on Wi-Fi somewhere else and like hit your PC at home and play those games that are maybe more demanding. But no, you can download your Steam games to this thing and they run natively on it.
Yeah, dude, like
No internet required.
I'm looking at this thing right now, and just the design of the console itself screams to me this is Valve, like saying like we're not going to let you have this whole pie, Nintendo. Like it's very clearly to me challenging the Switch.
Yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, the more it turns into a must buy for me because I've been wanting to start traveling more anyway, and
and now you can bring your entire PC with you essentially.
Yeah,
without actually physically bringing it. Yeah.
Play. I can play Noita on the beach.
So that's what you do on the beach.
Get that anti-glare screen going. That's like, I actually do kind of hate that. One of the perks for the $630 or the $650 one is an anti-glare screen. And
really? The screen's different. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so the differences between the three models, I didn't really cover that. The first one, the $400 one, is 64 gig, and it's a slower version of an SSD. It's like an EM something. I don't know. So the storage is a little slower. Then you move up, you get an NVMe SSD, and it's
that's that good stuff.
Yeah, it's 256 gig, I think. And then you move up to this. That's the 530 one, and then the $650 one. You get the anti-glare screen. You get a special case. They all come with a case. You get a special case, and you get 512 gigs of NVMe SSD. Yeah, and like that NVMe SSD, you're going to get load times comparable with the Series X and the PS5.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this thing is mighty impressive. And the fact that they fit all this tech into this form factor, it's very impressive.
I do think the only thing that would have had me more hyped for it is if it was NVIDIA instead of AMD and it supported DLSS.
AMD's the ones that makes console graphics cards, man. Like that's
I know, but DLSS would have been incredible because then you'd probably be able to hit.
Where is AMD's DLSS equivalent? Is that still in the cards? Is that
it's a thing they're making, but it's not. Equivalent is a really strong word.
Yeah,
it's not going to be as good.
Attempted equivalent. Yeah,
it's an upscaler, whereas DLSS is more like it's AI based and everything. It's a lot smarter. It's a lot harder to implement as well. AMD is saying that theirs will be like click a button and you have it in your game, but it's not gonna be the same.
NVIDIA's got some sort of sorcery that they're invoking over there.
They got the power of Skynet.
But I see a Steam Deck in my future.
I might buy one too. Honestly,
I want it in my veins.
I definitely want to.
I don't
try it out
that much. But
my Switch would be exclusively a Zelda machine if I buy this thing, basically.
Like the fact that I can have my PC and also have my PC. I'm trying to articulate this, but I could literally be playing. I hope I could be playing a game, close it out on Steam, have Steam Cloud saves, go to the bathroom, open the game back up, and play it in the bathroom.
This is conjecture. But there's no way they're going to release this dock without a Steam controller too, right? Like, it just seems...
if they don't say, like, I don't think they're going to release a controller, right? Like, I'm looking at the Steam Deck site.
They have not announced a controller, no.
Yeah,
but they discontinued the original Steam controller. The only reason I don't use mine anymore is because the joystick fell apart and I can't find any replacement parts for it. Like, I hope, and like, it still gets firmware updates and stuff. Like, they have not abandoned it.
Yeah, Control F controller on the Steam Deck site.
No, there's
Zero
nothing.
results.
Yeah,
So-
but like clearly they've worked on the trackpads more. The trackpads on the Steam Deck are better than the ones on the Steam controller. The thumbsticks are better.
It might also
know.
be stuff that they took from the development of the
The
Valve
index, yeah. It is. The trackpad development did come from the index. I'm just saying, like,
And did the Steam controller have capacitive?
it didn't have a
Touch?
capacitive
No.
stick. No.
Okay, yeah, I think that came from the index as well.
I
The
didn't know
index has some
had it.
wild tech. Yeah,
it does.
the index actually has full finger tracking, I think.
I knew that. I didn't know it had capacitive touch or capacitive sticks though. I thought you had to put your thumb on the trackpad. That's actually really cool. Yeah, I hope it comes with another Steam controller because that would be, the Steam Deck is something like $400 is still not something that I'm ready to impulse buy. But if they released a Steam controller too and it was like $80, that would be something
That
I'd
is-
buy instantly.
Like the Steam Deck is the price of a gaming console.
Yeah,
Like you could either buy a PS5 or a Steam Deck, and if you have a PC, that Steam Deck is looking really appealing
yeah, it is.
because
Yeah,
all of a sudden that 400 game Steam library that I know everybody has
Yeah, exactly.
or eventually will have is now all of a sudden portable. There's no excuse to not go through backlogs anymore.
Yeah.
You could just be
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
We
no,
all
my
break at
thing
work.
is like I'm thinking of people like one of my friends is super into Halo, and my first thought looking at this thing was like, oh my god, he could play Halo on his lunch break. Like,
yeah, that's insane.
yeah,
That's why I might buy it. I might actually enjoy my lunch breaks.
yeah, And
yeah,
might-
I'm certainly interested. I will say that. Certainly interested. I'm gonna
Kids
probably,
with divorced
if one of you two
parents.
get it, I'm gonna come over and play with it,
yeah.
and then make a decision.
When I was a kid, bouncing between my parents' houses, this thing would have been a lifesaver.
Yeah, this thing.
I bought
Like-
a PC that had I got a case that had a handle on it so that I could take my PC
Jeez.
between my parents' houses. It was so heavy, you guys.
Kids these days just have their
Kids these
PCs that
days.
they can shove in their pocket. Like,
It was a
Don't know how
massive like
good they have it.
stainless steel case. It was so
Ooh.
heavy because I didn't want stuff to break if I dropped it, and that did it. It fell out of a car one time and nothing broke.
that's amazing.
Yeah, but that's like the rite of passage to drop your PC at least once and then have a heart attack.
Yeah,
you
I
plug
was
it in.
so afraid. I did dent the case, but nothing inside broke, and I'm pretty sure that was a Steel Series case. So that's my testament to them.
Steel Series is great. I love everything they make.
The thing about PCs is that they're a lot more resilient than people think.
Especially if
put-
you're rocking an SSD. If a hard drive is the most vulnerable part of a PC typically.
Like
And,
people
Yeah,
won't
I remember-
realize when you're putting a PC together that you really need to stick those components in quite forcefully.
yeah,
Dude, yeah, that's wild because I built my PC recently, right? Like first PC I ever built, and I was like, I'm going to break this thing, and I was
You're
terrified.
so terrified.
I was
of
just
the
like
motherboard
using
starts
all of my
flexing.
strength to shove that RAM in, and that's like what I had to do. Like that's
Yeah.
what it took for it to click. I was like, holy crap!
Yeah, as long as the motherboard doesn't snap,
God,
it'll
I just-
flex.
Just remember that I built my PC on this podcast.
Oh yeah, we we live streamed it.
Yeah,
That
those were
was-
the days.
Those
Did
were
we?
those the days.
No, that was actually that was during COVID. That was pretty terrible. Well, we're still during COVID, but
Yeah, COVID's not over.
I was just referring to those were the days where we attempted to have like some sort of video component, but apparently people hated that, so we stopped doing it.
We got the Forever Purge, and we also got the Forever COVID.
hey, once Game Talk Play starts up, they're going to be eating their words
Eventually, yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get there.
in a couple of years.
yeah. You know, we
We'll get
like to
around
take
to
we
it.
like to take things at our own pace here. You know, no rush.
Got to get it right the first time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Anyway, what have you guys been playing?
I
I
can.
think me and
go-
Emmett have been playing the
Yeah.
same game.
Have we?
I mean, I've been playing Pokemon Unite.
Okay, so I was going to save Pokemon Unite for like next week, but now that you mentioned it, we can talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I started playing it
Dude,
yesterday.
Pokemon Unite is so fun.
It is.
Is it really?
Yeah, no, it's so much fun to stomp 12-year-olds. Like,
Dude,
That
it's
makes
non
sense, yeah.
it's non-toxic League of Legends with Pokemon, and the games are all 10 minutes long. Like
That actually sounds really appealing.
it's
Yeah, it's
It's a
perfect.
really good sell.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, like I was shocked at how good this thing was, dude. Like,
Is it free to play?
yeah, it's free,
yes,
totally
it's
free.
free.
What
It's
console?
pay,
What's
it's
it on?
pay to win.
Switch.
Is it Switch exclusive?
Yeah.
I think it's coming to mobile later.
Yeah, it's
But-
probably coming to mobile. The interface.
For some reason, I had it in my
is
head that this
cool.
was on PC, but yeah.
dude, they're not gonna put Pokemon on a PC. Are you kidding me?
It's
There's side stuff. I mean, if they put it on mobile, why wouldn't it be on PC? But anyway.
Dude,
it has some balance
yeah.
issues though.
Oh, it certainly does. Yeah, like
There's a lot of balance.
Pokemon has balance issues. I don't want to hear.
No, I think that's fine though, right? Like this is such a new direction for Pokemon to take. It's a MOBA. It's a Pokemon MOBA.
I don't
Right.
think it's produced by
Like-
Game Freak either.
How many characters are there?
There's a decent amount, dude.
There's a decent amount.
I think there's like 20 right now,
Less
pretty
than
good.
that.
like 15 maybe. Like there's a lot of
It's like
characters.
10.
And
10.
they're all
10.
very different. Like
15.
think League of Legends, Dota champions, right? Like they're all different, all serve different functions, right? Like some are more support, defense oriented, some are like attackers, some are all rounders, etc. So like League of Legends, if you're familiar, right? Like the map, like the main map at least, right? Like it has 2 lanes and a jungle, right? Instead of 3 lanes in a jungle, right? So the jungle's in the middle. There's a top lane and a bottom lane. There's
How many
5
players are in a game?
5 Pokemon per team, and it's so cute how they incorporated like well-known MOBA mechanics with a Pokemon flair, right? And I know like this is your game, Mike. I'm kind of stealing your thunder, but I'll give it back to you here in a sec. But I just wanted to mention like when you kill like mobs, right? Like Pokemon mobs to gain XP and level up, you beat them, and then like when their health gets to 0, a Pokeball hits them and captures them. So it's not like you're killing them, like you're catching these Pokemon. It's just little things like that that are really cool, I think. And like
It's also the prequel to Space Jam. Because
Well-
you do a lot of dunking.
you do, yeah. And
The whole stick is
yeah, so instead
dunking.
of towers like League of Legends, right? Like you have like these open like hoops essentially. It's essentially like like as you kill monsters, as you kill players, you get these points, and the objective is to dunk your points in the opposing people's goals, right? And like if you're in your own goal, right, like you gain health or whatever, and like you regenerate and you're safe basically. So as you dunk points into the opposing team's goal, the goals go away. So essentially you keep pushing. The objective is to obviously go to their base and take it, right? Like any MOBA. And that's their sort of spin on that, right? Like you gather points, dunk them in these goals to keep moving forward through the map. Now, if you die, you lose all your points, right? So like it's like a lot of it's a risk reward. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get killed here, but if I can dunk my points before I get killed by the enemy team, it's gonna be worth it. Stuff like that. And like just the way the Pokemon work, dude, like they've incorporated like evolution into the game, right? Like so you can start out as like a Charmander. As you level up in the game, you eventually become a Charmeleon. You become a Charizard. You learn new moves as you
Incredible.
level up. Like this, all of this stuff, all the Pokemon stuff, like learning new moves, evolving, catching Pokemon, all of that has been expressed through a MOBA, and I just think it's brilliant. Like,
Yeah, that sounds extremely fun.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's great. And Pikachu kind of nasty.
Dude, you know who's disgusting? Like, actually, Gengar. Like, Gengar is just straight up broken.
Do you have to?
I
start
don't
as a
know,
monster?
Zoro-
I've
Aurora,
seen
whatever.
Gengar like 1v5 people.
I've seen Zorora just like melt things. Any of the speedsters are broken.
So does Pikachu start as a Pichu, or do you start?
No,
as
No,
Some
Pikachu
Po-
starts as a
Some
Pikachu.
Pokemon are fully, you know,
and
like,
ends as a Pikachu.
because Pikachu's Pikachu, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but like I think
Raichu is not a real Pokemon.
Lucario also starts as Lucario, but like pretty much everyone else that evolves actually evolves, right? Like, like Bulbasaur evolves, and
God,
What is the-
wonders?
what's the bunny Pokemon? Help me out.
Lopunny?
Cinderace?
Cinderace, yes. Cinderace's first form evolves into Cinderace.
Is that one of the
God.
newest starters?
Yeah, that's the newest
Yeah.
starter. Yeah, and they have like really like weird, like obviously like those the ones I just mentioned are super popular. Like Garchomp is also very popular. He's in the game, but they've got like weird choices too, like Crustle, which is like this insectoid ground type Pokemon that like isn't really in anything but is in this game. Slowpoke into Slowbro. Slowbro's in this game. Obviously Gengar, hyper popular Pokemon.
Does Gengar
Miss-
start as Gengar?
No, you start as Ghastly.
Nice.
You have to evolve, yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Mime. I think Gardevoir just came out today.
Blastoise is coming out at some point.
Yeah, and when I say Gardevoir, right, you start as Ralts and evolve into Kirlia. So like,
God, imagine starting as Ralts. That would suck.
yeah, and like especially for these Pokemon like that have three forms, like you're very weak early on, so you definitely want to like maybe like go to the jungle or like avoid team fights until you get to evolve and become more useful. Like there's so many. It's so simple. The matches are only 10 minutes, but there's definitely a lot of depth here, right? Like, and I haven't even gotten into the moves, right? Like all of the moves have like paragraphs of text like describing the effects they do and like the debuffs they cause, and like you have to think on how to combine different moves and like do things like that. So this is a MOBA, dude. It's just a Pokemon MOBA, and it's and like I said, not toxic. You can't type, so there's no like racial slurs being hurled around like League and Dota.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I've ever been called a racial slur in League, but I'm pretty sure I've been insulted in every foreign language known to man in Dota.
yeah, I mean like, but this is obviously the right call here, right? This opens up Pokemon Unite to everyone, right? And I mean everyone, like, because I definitely feel like in the matches I played against, I was definitely playing against either people who had just opened the game for the first time or children, because like they were just sort of running into our base and dying repeatedly to the point where it wasn't even a challenge.
Bots too.
Because like
No,
these are real people.
these
Like
are
I mean,
real
the
people.
tutorial is like bots, but once you get past that, it's real people. I have not lost a game of Pokemon Unite yet. Granted, I haven't gone into ranked.
I lost one.
Yeah, so I think that definitely. I mean, obviously, I think when you go into ranked, like you'll start seeing some real challenge. But like, just from my brief time with it, like I experimented with some of the free characters. The only two characters that I own are Talonflame and Slowbro, and I'm actually a huge fan of Slowbro. Like I really like his playstyle, very defensive, very kind of CC and support oriented, and man, I'm so impressed by this game. Like I didn't think this would work on any level, and it's actually amazing. But yeah, Mike, do you want to?
Yeah, you pretty much summed that game up for
Sorry.
me, but I've also started playing another game. I've been going through all the Battlefields that I haven't played yet. So I picked up Battlefield 1, and let me tell you, it's actually a lot of fun.
That campaign's pretty good. Were you playing the campaign or the multiplayer?
Multiplayer. I played some of the campaign. I enjoyed the campaign.
Battlefield
Yeah,
1
I like
is the
this.
one with like the vignettes, right? Like the five
Yeah.
different scenarios. Yeah, okay.
Battlefield 1, like, so far, I actually like the sniping in Battlefield 1 more than in Battlefield 4, because it just, everything feels so vulnerable. I don't know whether it's because everyone's using really inaccurate weapons at range, so I'm not getting beamed by a dude with an assault rifle from across the map, but it just feels brutal.
I'm
Like, I was
surprised that
playing
like
a defensive map and I just see bodies flying around me. I'm just like, what's going on?
so did you not have any issues like with matchmaking and stuff? Because I know it's
Oh no, this
it's
is
an older Battlefield game.
full. There's right now. I played earlier today. There were 6 full servers,
Yeah,
Okay.
where Battlefield 5 is
All
in such
official?
a bad spot, a lot of the older Battlefields are pretty playable right now.
especially since Battlefield 1's free right now on Twitch Prime, so it just got an influx of players.
Nice.
And people will play 1 because 1 offers a unique experience. Same reason people play 4. Like, you can't get there's not another World War I Battlefield. You have Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
And like the defenses of the operations mode is actually a lot of fun. Like I didn't think being forced to defend against a massive wave of enemies that just keep coming and don't stop until they're all dead wouldn't have been fun, but it's like a meat grinder. I love it.
Yeah.
Horde mode.
It's fun.
It like there were periods where I think we were on, I don't remember what map we were on, where I was just firing an LMG down a corridor. Through gas, through fire, through smoke, bullets flying all around me. I was into it. Like artillery's exploding all around you because just massive amounts of artillery. Bombs are exploding overhead. It just captures that chaos really well.
Yeah, Battlefield is unmatched at that, right? Like creating that insane, chaotic wartime environment.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of other shooters that I play are really dependent on audio and hearing people walking. The only thing I hear in Battlefield 1 is explosions and the occasional plane flying overhead. Like you aren't hearing somebody walking. You're hearing gunfire, explosions, and the occasional combat dialogue. And that's just the way I like it.
Just
just the way I like it.
Raw chaos.
yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm so
I think
excited for Battlefield Portal to be able to like have
Battlefield.
the World War
Okay,
I
and yeah,
character.
let me just very quickly. I've said in the past episodes that like I was kind of a wait and see for Battlefield 2047 or whatever the date is.
2042.
2042.
I always get it wrong. 2077. But
24 yeah.
I was saying that like I wait and see if my friends like buy it. I'm probably gonna buy it day one now just to spite Activision. Honestly,
I'm probably gonna buy it because I think the Battlefield Portal looks incredible. The ability to
Battlefield
make-
Portal looks
I just largely feel like we need to. I need to do my part in just fighting against Call of Duty at this point. So
that's fair too. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
I like the concept of Battlefield Portal. I like the concept of putting future weapons against people from World War II. Like that sounds great.
The fact that in
More
the trailer
people from
they
World War
showed-
II.
They showed people with bayonets against people with defibrillators, and like that's amazing.
Yeah, that's
Going back to 1, melee in 1 is just brutal because they have a large selection of melee weapons with different stats and different animations.
Yeah, because melee was a lot more of a significant.
Like
part of war.
you whack someone with a bayonet and it's quite visceral, especially after you bayonet charge.
Yeah,
It's a really good game.
I need to
and
finish that campaign. I really enjoyed it, but it was one of those things. I was like playing.
yeah.
it
I
on
was
an
like in the
origin.
middle of the third vignette or something, and I stopped. I definitely should. Go
I
back.
was like low on time, and I was doing like the Origin 10-hour demo thing that they gave out.
Yeah, I would well recommend people play it.
Yeah,
I
mean,
didn't
I'll
give
have
it
to
its
check
fair
out while
shake
it
at
still has a
launch.
population.
Because at launch, I was like, oh, it's just more Battlefield. It's more of the same. This is really boring. I don't like it. And I kind of drifted away from Battlefield. But now playing it, I don't know why I didn't like it. Maybe it was just the beta map.
Yeah, that
Like,
could
the
be it.
sniping's
They have a
fun.
tendency to pick the worst map for their beta.
Oh, yeah. Like,
Looking at you,
sniping's
Operation
fun.
Metro.
Metro was fun. What are you talking about? The
hated
sniping's
Metro.
fun. The assault's fun. No one runs medic because people don't like bolt action rifles for some reason. All the classes are fun. Vehicles are annoying. Like,
All the stuff you're supposed to have in a Battlefield.
yeah, it's everything you want.
I think the
Although
only
I will add,
criticism-
because it has official servers, there is a lot of toxic people that will use the text chat, but you can just kind of tune them out and hide the chat.
Just really quick, like one of the I can't remember if it was for this Battlefield, but wasn't one of the criticisms like the destruction wasn't as good as previous games or something?
I think fours was a little downturn, but one's
that's like
destruction is
Battlefield's
perfect.
thing, right? Like Battlefield's thing is like destructible environments. No one does it quite like Battlefield.
Like Battlefield
Yeah, but
1,
I also don't like. They do destructible environments well, but it's not like what brings me to a Battlefield game. What brings me to a Battlefield game is being able to sneak up on a tank and plant C4 on it and run away and blow it up, like, or drive a Jeep off of the top of a building and hit a helicopter with it. Like,
Right.
it's the antics, not the fact that I can blow a wall up. I mean, the ability to blow a wall up helps induce those situations, but
Yeah.
I'd
for
like
sure.
like one really has the perfect amount of destruction because over the course of a match of a long defense, buildings will cease to exist. Either
Yeah.
from artillery
I think-
strikes or
Honestly,
mortars,
I think that's so cool. Like I
or
love
tanks
that.
shooting at them.
that's just like how Bad Company 2 was. Like, the map was flat by the end of the game.
There'll still be like especially in city maps, there'll still be buildings up, but they'll be blasted open and everything. Like
Does
you're
it-
not going to
does
have
this,
as much cover.
This was after 4, so does it have like the big events that happen in the middle of a map?
I don't think so.
Okay, because it looks
I
like
think Levolution was
2042 is
before.
bringing that back, but
I think they're making it more dynamic in 2042.
I hope so.
Levolution. Now, if that's not like a Kojima term, I don't know what is.
That was a Kojima term before Kojima terms.
I'm just thinking of like now transfarring. Do you guys remember that?
No.
Okay, we don't have to go into it. I've been playing The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, and this is a pretty fresh experience for me, right? Because like I played it on Wii, but I only like did the first dungeon, then I never touched it again.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
so Skyward Sword actually, I hate that game, but it has some of the best dungeons in the franchise. Like,
So I will say so I'm at Lake Floria right now, and I'm really liking it. Like I'm surprised, and I don't know how much of it.
so you're not to the Ancient Cistern yet.
Guess not.
Okay, I think you're really close to it. That's the best dungeon. It might be the best Zelda dungeon.
That's wild. But like I don't know how much of this is the fact that the Switch version is a much improved, like quality of life wise version of the game, or if I just was craving a traditional Zelda experience that I haven't had, but I'm having a blast with this game, honestly. I will say that like I think that Zelda, as it goes on, it becomes more and more anime. You know what I mean? Because like some of the cutscenes in this game are very. It's like, okay, like you're gonna stop my sword with one finger just to show how powerful you are, or whatever. You know, like.
Do you know who that villain? What's his name again?
Girahim?
Yeah. Do you know what he is though? Like, have you?
I don't.
Do you know the story?
No, I don't know the story.
Oh well, there's a really good and hilarious reason that he can stop a sword with his fingers.
I very intentionally avoided. Like when I look into Zelda lore and stuff, I very intentionally avoided all the Skyward Sword stuff because I knew like I would eventually come back and play this game. So I don't know anything about Skyward Sword ahead of playing this game.
The reason he can stop a sword with his fingers is not just because he's powerful in it, and when you see it, you'll probably laugh pretty hard. So you have that to look forward to.
All right, yeah, but not just that. Like I got to the part, I guess spoilers, but who cares? You know,
it's a 10-year-old game.
Yeah. Like the part where Girahim like attacks Impa and Zelda, and like Impa puts up a force field, but Girahim's power level's too strong.
Yeah, it was straight out of
I was
Dragon
like,
Ball
this
Super.
is all right. Like, come on. But like the cutscenes.
Girahim is one thing. Villain too. Like the things he does with his tongue.
Yeah, he's very expressive, I guess.
He's very intensely sexual.
Yeah, it's weird. He's weird. He's very weird.
He reminds me a lot of the dude from Hunter x Hunter.
Hisoka?
Maybe the clown guy.
Yeah, Hisoka. Okay, but anyway, like the only thing that really has seriously annoyed me is the Loftwing controls. Like,
are you playing it with motion controls?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's just so frustrating. And like I get the idea that like, okay, when you ride one of these things, you're too heavy for them to like fly upwards, so they have to gain momentum, like dive and gain momentum so you can fly up a little bit. But it's so annoying because it creates these situations where like I'm just trying to get to Skyloft, and like I have to.
It's really boring. Like it's
and I'm like right there. It's like, okay, I'm gonna point my stick down, then up, then down, then up like 6 times just so I can like ascend 12 feet. Like
at least when you're sailing in Wind Waker, like you have that killer soundtrack playing.
Oh yeah, yeah, I don't mind that at all.
And the ocean is beautiful. Like they just managed to make it look really good. The sky is not pretty in Skyward Sword. Like it's the ugliest part of the game. Like,
yeah, and I guess I'll give a little bit of credit because there's some sense of adventure, like at least near the beginning, because there's like, okay, there's all these islands that uncharted islands basically, similar to Wind Waker, right? But like there's only a handful of them. And they're nowhere near as varied and exciting to explore as Wind Waker's islands. And like I said, they're such a pain to get to.
And they didn't really like. I like floating island aesthetic in a lot of media, but they didn't really like lean into it enough. Like they gave Beetle the little flying shop, and that's good. That's a good start.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I don't know. I like when these worlds answer the questions that you don't always think of, like how do people get from island to island? Like, do they all ride birds? I thought that was a knight thing. Like, if they all have, if only the knights can ride birds, how do people get to the cool little pumpkin cafe thing? Like, what are the logistics?
The logistics, and it sounds silly when you say it out loud, but Nintendo's actually pretty good about thinking about these things. They think about the world a lot, and they flesh it out.
Like little world building like that goes a long way towards immersion.
Yeah, so yeah, like it's definitely like at this point I wouldn't say it's the best Zelda ever or anything like that, but it's very much a welcome Zelda in my heart, right? Like it's like I have not played a traditional Zelda in years and years, right? Like Breath of the Wild is I love it, right? But it's not this. It's not
Yeah.
the Zelda formula. And sometimes you just want that Zelda formula, you know?
Yeah, I think Skyward Sword is probably my least favorite 3D Zelda. I'm hesitant to use the word worst, but like Dark Souls 2 is my least favorite Dark Souls game, and
Yeah,
it's still like
still like better than most games.
yeah, it's still quite good. I don't regret playing it. It's really hard to revisit Skyward Sword, I think.
Yeah, and like I know I mentioned, you know, when we did our Mario episode, I do want to do a Zelda ranking episode at some point this year, maybe. And I think it'll be fun, especially because now I've gotten experience with Zelda games that I hadn't had before, especially like A Link to the Past and now a Skyward Sword. And I do plan on finishing Skyward Sword, by the way, as well as A Link to the Past.
God,
But,
I have so many games to go back and I haven't finished A Link to the Past or played any of the Game Boy Zeldas or the Game Boy Advance Minish Cap one. I have
Yeah,
a lot that I
yeah.
need to
There's
go
some. I think there's definitely some homework that needs to be done before we can do that episode. But regarding Skyward Sword, yeah, like I do remember there was a lot of complaining when it came out on that, like it's not an open world like Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, and it's just like those three areas, and like there was a lot of blowback on that.
It really does feel like you enter a level select almost, because I just zone out the entire time I'm in the sky.
Yeah, so like it's not isn't bothering me yet, honestly. Like I enjoyed the almost like Metroidvania-esque feel of going back to areas I've been to with equipment that I have that can open up new avenues and stuff like that. Like I'm enjoying it now. I don't know if that'll wear thin because like I assume I'm not maybe at the halfway point of the game. I don't know.
You're just short of halfway, I think.
Yeah, like so like
It's like the longest Zelda game before
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild.
and by the way, I'm over 15 hours in. So that's yeah. But yeah, like that's not really bothering me. Like I think the three areas are all really nice. I think they look pretty and they have their own distinct flair, and obviously the highlight of every Zelda game to me, the music. I love the music so much. And this game is no different. I think it has great music. Especially the track that sticks out to me the most is the music that plays in the bazaar. I love that track so much.
It's a good song, yeah.
And I love the thing that games do, especially, you know, Zelda games, like where like in the bazaar, when you approach different people like the blacksmith, the song, you know, it's the same song, same melody, but the instrumentation and like, you know, the tone of the song sort of changes depending on who you're standing next to. So there's a lot more like percussion and like, you know, it's a lot more rhythmic when you're near the blacksmith. And then like when you go near like the storage girl, there's like woodwinds playing, but it's the same. Like I love when games do that. And yeah, this game does that quite a bit. Like I've noticed. Very Banjo-Kazooie soundtrack-esque.
If they don't bring Kiki's back in Breath of the Wild 2, I'm gonna riot.
Oh yeah, yeah, those things I couldn't decide if they were cute or annoying, honestly.
They can be both.
Yeah. But yeah, like I'm so enjoying it, man. Like I said, it's been so long since I've had the Zelda experience, and this is just like it feels like coming home. And it's great because like I haven't really like after I did that first dungeon, it was all new ground for me, and I'm loving it.
Yeah,
But, you know,
I bet that
in the
intro's a
great-
lot shorter now too. Now that you can skip all the text and stuff.
Yeah, you can skip all the text. And by the way, 60 FPS, very nice. Feels
Yeah.
very smooth. Yeah, it's great. I don't think, you know, like even at this point, right? Like even though I'm loving it, like I would probably put it below Wind Waker, Ocarina, and Twilight Princess, even now. But you know, like you said, Dark Souls 2 is the worst Dark Souls game. Like I'm
Yeah,
sure even if this is my least favorite 3D Zelda, it's still an experience I very much enjoy.
It sits, and this is going to sound terrible, but it sits like right below Ocarina of Time for me, I think, which Ocarina of Time is being the second lowest for me. Because I just think, other than this one, they got better every single time. And I would have to play the remake because, like, my grievances with the original were largely like, Fee won't shut up. They made that better.
Yeah, they made that a lot better. And I remember that in the brief time I spent with the Wii version. Like, Fee is basically just gone unless you call on her, which is great.
I actually did. So I didn't really want to play this game the way that I did, but I actually, when I originally played Skyward Sword, I played through it all in a single weekend because I was infuriated by the fact that there was like, I don't know if it was a bug or if it was an intentional thing, but for the first time every time you played the game, it would reset what items you had picked up before, and it would give you the full description. And this game has a lot of unique items.
Yeah, they got rid of that too.
They got rid of that, but I remember being so frustrated that I just refused to turn the Wii off.
Dude, yeah, I couldn't imagine. Like that would have been
played through the
miserable.
entire 30-hour game in one sitting. Like,
yeah, this is definitely the definitive Skyward Sword. Like this is, if you've never played Skyward Sword, consider yourself lucky because you can now play this, right?
Yeah, dude, that final boss is really fun too.
I mean, didn't Twilight Princess have the same problem with?
No.
Because I feel it might have had it with rupees.
I think Twilight Princess had it with specifically rupees. Yeah,
like that.
But it was a lot less egregious because you can't like walk through a field at all without picking up like 5 or 6 items in Skyward Sword. It's a lot. There are a lot of items.
Yeah, and I think one final point just for Skyward Sword. The art style, right? Like I like the art style a lot, but I think it works better in some areas than other areas, right? Like I think the characters in this art style are fantastic. I think maybe the best Zelda characters have ever looked, aside from Breath of the Wild, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I really like the painterly style of the characters in this game, but that same painterly style doesn't work as well for the environments. I feel like the environments could look good. But don't look as good as
Sorry, the increase in resolution hurt it, I think, a little bit there because like the environments had a very cool like your screen would turn blurry and the environments would kind of get painterly in the background and stuff.
Yeah,
and I actually think upscaling that to 1080p, that effect is a lot more jarring.
Yeah, so the environment, like I remember that, like the environments had that painterly effect in the Wii version, but now 1080p environments, right? It like basically just looks like HD GameCube graphics now, right? Yeah. Whereas, and that's fine, right? It looks fine. I just think it could look better, but the characters look fantastic.
Yeah, I really do think that they 100% just improve. Like Breath of the Wild is 100% just an improvement on that art style.
Yes, yeah, but I think so.
In a lot of ways, Skyward Sword had to walk so that Breath of the Wild could run.
Yeah, that's like I'm definitely I can appreciate the influences this game has had on Breath of the Wild now that I've played like 15 plus hours of it. Yeah, like I honestly totally forgot the stamina gauge was a thing in this game before I played it again. It's kind of annoying. Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, it's definitely really implemented well in Breath of the Wild, though.
Yeah, it never really did anything fun.
And like I was like, oh my god, this game also has like a glider, but then I was highly disappointed when I realized you can just go straight down. It's like, what's the point?
Sailcloth is the most disappointing item in any Zelda game ever. It's so bad.
Even Wind Waker had a glider. It had the Deku Leaf, right? Like,
and the Deku Leaf was super fun. Like,
like
the sailcloth is terrible.
Okay, so you can just help me fall slightly slower and not move at all.
Yeah, it's not even an item. Like, it's just like a transition. Like you don't even have to use it after that.
It automatically pops it up. Yeah, it's so stupid.
I always just let him face plant. I thought it was funnier because the islands, the smaller islands, you can just face plant and there's no repercussions for it.
Just from where I am right now, maybe you said a little under the halfway point. Like if they had just like maybe improved the sky stuff and like the flying, like this would have been like a top tier Zelda, I think, but
you haven't gotten to any of the bad parts yet either, which is like
okay. Well,
so you're at the part where you revisit the grass area, right?
Yes.
Like, you revisit every area 3 times.
3 times?
It's a lot. It's egregious. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, so so don't spoil anything for me, but like my impression was okay, like I'm going to revisit each area once and then like open up that portal and then go to Zelda and it'll be like a new world, kind of like Link to the Past. No. That's what I thought would happen. But don't tell me what actually happens, Yeah.
Oh, also, have you fought what's it called? The big black thing.
Yeah.
Prison. How many times have you had to fight
Oh
it?
no, I don't like that question. I just once.
It comes up a few more times, at least 2 more times, I think, maybe
Okay.
more than that.
Yeah, I mean, so it mentioned, like, the old lady mentioned, like, okay, you don't have long. I was like, okay, hopefully this isn't like a time-based thing that I'll have to return to, because that would
It's
be
not.
very annoying.
It's not time based. You just have to do it a billion times. It's really, and it
Yeah.
gets less fun each time.
I mean, it wasn't, yeah, like, I'm over it after once, right? Like, I don't want to do that again, because, like, it was fine for the first time, but it's just like, all right, hit his toes, like, 3 times, and, like, that's it.
The final time you fight him has one cool moment, one very cool moment, but that's it. The rest of it is just absolutely
Okay,
terrible.
well, so you've kind of informed me now that I'm about to get into the tedious parts of this game, which sucks, but
Yeah, no, the game's about 10 hours longer than it should be.
okay.
Thereabout. But like
Well,
the final okay, I said you revisit 3 times. I meant to say you visit them 3 times. And like
okay.
the last time you visit each area is kind of a victory lap if I remember right. But it's
Yeah, I mean,
still
at least where I am right now, I'm very much enjoying it. So, and I do intend to see it through.
yeah, you
And
should, because the final boss is very cool. And
yeah,
finding
I
out
don't
who
know.
the
I
enemy
imagine.
is.
I mean, like, okay, again, no spoilers, but I have to imagine, like, Ganon has to play into this somehow, right? Like, he's part of the origin of Zelda as much as Link and Zelda. So,
I'm
We'll
not
see.
gonna answer that.
yeah. Okay, that's it for me. I've talked too long. What about
I haven't
you?
played any games. All I've played is a little bit of Apex. So
Wow, how lame.
I've been busy. I had a wedding this last weekend.
That's exciting.
Actually, surely I played something because we didn't record last week. One second. Let me look at my Steam library. Oh, I played the new season of Fall Guys a little bit.
Okay.
I like it. I didn't play it long enough to have a strong opinion. Still mad that you can't show your Steam name.
They're
fixed.
insane.
Their fix for it is very annoying. They like added other names to the game, but you can't customize it at all. It has cross-platform matchmaking now, but I don't think you can have cross-platform parties. So what's the point? But other than that, I think the new games are really fun. If it had cross-platform parties, I had enough fun playing it the other night. I would invite you guys to play some. But
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, I think cross-platform is like a must for Fall. They've got to put that in, like that.
it has matchmaking. Like I was playing with PlayStation players, and the cheaters are gone. I didn't see a single cheater.
Yeah,
when I was playing.
are you sure you just didn't see it? Because I feel like that's too.
I
weird.
might not have seen it. Let me.
That's too weird. If there's like matchmaking, but not like you can't party up.
Players on both platforms can matchmake across all game modes. Blah blah blah. The only thing that's still not possible are cross-platform parties. As of
Jesus
May
Christ.
14th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that's coming. Surely that has to be coming.
They use the word "yet" in the patch notes, but it's been a year since that game.
For the names, it's been like a year since the names were an issue, and that hasn't really.
No, but I mean, if you guys haven't played it in a long time, the new games are pretty fun. Like they actually like, I don't know, the first season that there was season 2 or whatever, they didn't add enough games and all, and like the little bit of flavor that was there was not enough. But there's like enough. There's a lot of flavor to that game now because every season's had a different theme, and there's 5 of them now. There's a lot to play now.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited that Fall Guys kept the tactic of just adding more and more and more, and now like each like full round of Fall Guys, like series of games, is like probably never going to be the same twice, right? Like there's such a variety in the pool of games that like it's just going to be a fresh thing each time you play it, which is cool.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. I only played like 3 rounds.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Game Talk. Thank you for listening. You can follow us at Ad Podcast Game Talk on Twitter. Please like, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you find your podcasts. We'll be there. Click the link in the description of this podcast to join our Discord and talk to us there. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Yeah, guys. See you next week.
See you next week. Well, you're out of town.
Not next week. The week after.
Yeah, sometime.
See you sometime.
God, Mike, I think you owe us money now that we've docked your wages.
Oh,
that's how that works.
Wait, when did my wages get docked?
Connor docked
You were
them when
late.
you were late today.
God. What is this, Amazon? I was 5 minutes late. Worse than
4,
Jeff
actually.
Bezos. Yeah, this is worse than Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Hey, at least we let you pee when you want to pee. That's something.
That's a lie. I'm held here. I'm held hostage for
Yeah, I was gonna say I've
2
muted
hours.
my mic. I've waited for you to start talking about something and muted my mic and gone to pee before it.